From Washington, this is VOA News. Boston begins the long recovery after a bombing suspect is captured. And China digs out from a devastating earthquake. I'm David Byrd reporting from Washington. A long, tense week has ended for residents of Boston, Massachusetts, and its suburbs after U.S. law enforcement authorities cornered and then captured the second of two suspected Boston Marathon bombers late Friday. As VOA's Carolyn Presutti reports, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev was caught after engaging in a firefight with police while hiding in a parked boat in Watertown, Massachusetts.
Police found 19-year-old Dzhokhar Tsarnaev inside a boat in the backyard of a house not too far from where he lived.
It's probably got a cuddy cabin underneath his race.
Bryan Kennedy heard the final gunshots when he was walking nearby.
It rattles you, it definitely makes you put your head on a swivel and look around and see everything around you.
Suspect number one, Tamerlan Tsarnaev, was killed during a gun battle with police Thursday night in the same town. The capture brings to an end 5 unsettling days since the double bombing at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. 3 people were killed and more than 170 injured. Boston's 5-day nightmare is over. As one resident told me, they can finally come out of their houses and feel safe.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
In Watertown, Massachusetts, Carolyn Presutti, VOA News.
In another sign of the return to normalcy, the Boston Red Sox Major League Baseball team played and won their first home game at Fenway Park since the bombings. The Red Sox were trailing 2-1 with 2 outs in the 8th inning when outfielder Daniel Nava hit a 3-run homer to give Boston the lead. The Red Sox went on to win 4-3. The game started with a moving tribute to those lost in the bombings and to those who helped the injured. In a special surprise, singer Neil Diamond appeared to sing his hit Sweet Caroline, which has become a staple of Red Sox home games. For more on this story, please log on to voanews.com. The United States has announced $123 million in new non-lethal aid to Syria's opposition. The additional money will double the non-lethal assistance to the Syrian opposition as well as increase humanitarian aid. The aid could include armored vehicles, night vision goggles, and advanced communications equipment. Speaking after a day of meetings in Istanbul, Turkey, Secretary of State John Kerry said that the situation in Syria is at a critical moment and the bloodshed needs to stop.
President Obama has been absolutely clear. The United States is committed to a democratic, unified, post-Assad Syria.
Foreign ministers from the main supporters of rebels trying to topple Bashar al-Assad's government are meeting in Istanbul to increase pressure on the Syrian leader to step down. World finance leaders meeting here in Washington issued a somber assessment of the state of the global economy on Saturday. Finance ministers meeting at the IMF say the recovery remains uneven and that growth and jobs are in short supply. IMF head Christine Lagarde said a lack of jobs for young people is a worldwide problem.
Or whether you look at some of the advanced economies in the Eurozone, or whether you look at Japan, or whether you look at the United States, and some emerging market economies as well, every policymaker is keen to develop jobs and to respond to the demands of the young population in particular.
The steering committee for the 188-nation International Monetary Fund said in a statement that the decisive action is needed to boost growth. However, world economies remain in disagreement over the best mix of policies to achieve sustained growth. Rescuers are digging through the rubble of collapsed buildings as the death toll from a powerful earthquake in southwestern China continues to climb. More than 160 people are known dead, with more than 6,000 others injured. China's official Xinhua news agency says that President Xi Jinping has ordered all-out measures to rescue victims and to minimize casualties following the disaster. Premier Li Keqiang visited the area and spoke with survivors on Saturday. Chinese officials said it was a 7.0 magnitude earthquake that struck, while the U.S. Geological Survey put the strength at 6.6 on the Richter scale. The quake occurred at a depth of 13 kilometers. For more on these stories, please visit our website, voanews.com. I'm David Byrd in Washington.